So thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, good.
We get right into it. So can you share some of the challenges that you were facing before you started using Archbee with your documentation?
Yeah, for sure. Before we were working with Archbee, a lot of the documentation was quite manual. We had Google Docs, and we pretty much used to write up things by hand on different documentation apps such as Docs and Excels and all that stuff, and just leave them in a Google Drive. We had looked at some solutions, but we were quite small at the time and didn't really make sense financially from a cost perspective. And I think that there were definitely some limitations on some of the other platforms we checked out, and we just kind of were really doing a lot of things manually that didn't have enough information, and it was hard to kind of maintain and keep stuff up to date as we were iterating quite fast. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. That makes sense. Um, so what made you choose Archbee? What were some of the features that caught your attention?
Funnily enough, there was one individual feature which sounds very, very basic, but it was like the biggest thing from my end. I'm very, very design focused and I have very, very particular ways to how I like to structure my documentation. And one of the things that I love to segment different sections is dividers. And I tested like three or four different apps, and for some reason, none of them the dividers worked. It was the weirdest thing ever. And then I got into Archbee and the dividers worked, and I was like, cool, done, found found what I want. It's tiny, tiny thing that would not normally switch someone to choose a platform, but I was just like, yeah, if you can do what you say, then I think it's good. I also like the fact that you guys are a small team, like we're a small team as well. I think startup vibes, kind of supporting startups was always my favorite thing, and trying to work, with people who are kind of hustling as hard as we are was definitely a favorable thing on my end.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. All right, can you tell me like how has switching to Archbee impacted your workflow, the functionality, basically how you run things?
It's made it really, really easy to onboard new partners onto our platform. I think historically it was very hard to navigate, and there was a lot of information that was, hard to find and relatively enclosed. Now that we have it all kind of in one document, we can easily link our partners and retailers one link that helps them just go through the entire onboarding experience, understand what they need to go step by step. And every single time we release new features, it's really quite easy to go and update that documentation to further the available resources that our retailers do have. So it's made that entire onboarding experience and overall kind of customer success side of things much easier to maintain and manage as a whole.
Have you gotten any feedback from partners or customers about this? How do they feel
Yeah,
about
all the time. I mean, we have our API documentation within our Archbee environment, and we get a lot of feedback from our retailers, about it being easy to read, about there being lots of information, flow charts, easy to view examples, stuff like that, and just overall easy to find information.
it?
So we do get general feedback on that, and definitely see a lot of value when it comes to those retailers using the documentation.
Any impact internally? And when I say this, I'm thinking of faster delivery or anything like that. Can you relate any of that?
I think it definitely helped us build more structure in our internal processes when it comes to overall development and go to market. So I think historically a lot of the go to market side of things was a bit clouded. We didn't really know what to do, and I think now that we've got a documentation tool in, makes it really, really easy for a go to market side of things. I think it makes it quite simple for us to know how to get certain features out to our retailers and how to advertise it. I think I do a lot of like promotional information to our retailers and being able to link them to documentation on how certain features work, how to set up certain features, what to do. Archbee's definitely made that much easier for our retailers.
Understood. Any advice you would like to give to other companies considering Archbee?
It's very, very affordable. Super good to use when it comes to just overall use of documentation. I would highly recommend it. Great team, great support as well. I think it's definitely a platform that understands its user base and has built a product that suits the general company. And I think it's rare to find a company that is able to satisfy the needs that, and the product that they do offer. I think it's a lot of companies have like diversified and shifted focus. And I think Archbee's definitely kind of maintained their focus on the core product, which is quite valuable. I remember reading like a post from your founder who mentioned that like initially when you guys launched it, it was quite like broken and you guys have just improved it so much. So it's cool to see where it's come.
Yeah, we do our best to reiterate and just make it ever so better with each version. All
Yeah,
right, well,
awesome.
thank you so much.